Welcome to the Outer Realm with Michelle Desrochers and Amelia Pisano. Airing live on the United Public Radio Network, 105.3 FM in New Orleans.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Thursday night segment of The Outer Realm. We are broadcasting live on the United Public Radio Network, UFO Paranormal Radio Network, 105.3 from the Gulf Coast and 107.7 FM from New Orleans. We are fully sponsored by the amazing people over at Folgers Coffee who have been a part of our journey since the very beginning. That's, probably about 400 and I would say 40 episodes in. So we are so grateful for you guys. And we just wouldn't do it without you, nor could we do it without you. Also, big thank you to Justice Snicker, aka Dr. Snick, the sonic surgeon, for his contribution of his time, his music, and his voice for the intro that you just heard. He's an award-winning composer of Halloween horror, sci-fi, and darkwave electronic music, which can be found on all of your favorite streaming platforms. Also, big thank you to Steve McGinnis, the artist behind the banners and logos at the show. Check him out on Facebook and Instagram. Does great commission pieces, but specialty also happens to be the horror genre. Tonight, we welcome for the very first time, and I have to say, it is an honor to have this incredible lady on the show tonight, Brit Elders. And she really is a pioneer in research of all sorts. But tonight she's going to be discussing the 45th anniversary edition of her book, UFO, Contact from the Pleiades, Volumes 1 and 2, The Billy Meier Investigation. Now, Brit, she's just incredible. She's an investigative author, documentary filmmaker who traveled the world exploring a variety of topics, including the mysterious world of UFOs. She's participated in several in-depth investigations, including Billy Meier Case and the waves of UFO sightings in Mexico, which began in 1991 and continue today. She's a CEO of the ShirleyMacLaine.com. Okay, a lot of us remember Shirley MacLaine. We
have
all
her
loved
book.
her.
I got her book.
Right?
Yeah.
And she continues to research and write on behalf of herself and others. My God, what a resume. But the fact that this lady has just been investigating literally everything. And again, she's just one of the pioneers, because anybody who's familiar with the Billy Meier case knows it goes back to the 70s. It goes back to pre-computers, pre-satellites, pre-technology, right? Pre-digital
Days of
cameras.
films. You can't dispute a negative.
I know.
Love it.
I know. Well, hello. Nice to see you here, Claudette. Oh, boy. Lady Spider Witch, hello.
Hi.
Oh, my goodness. Guys, it's always nice to see you guys. Boy, oh, boy.
It's nice to be here 2 times in a week.
I know. Bubbles on a roll. I know.
Say that to the migraine gods, because I
know.
Oh.
It's a wonderful thing.
Oh, yeah, it's great.
Great. I know. I'm telling you, I am really looking forward to this. I'm going to get this ready to go, because this is a book cover, and that is just going to be spectacular. So, one second. All righty. Oh, and our lovely guest of honor is here. Big welcome for Brit.
Hi, thank you. Hi.
How are you?
Good. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
Such an honor. Thank you for being here.
Oh, it's my pleasure.
Oh my goodness, you really are a pioneer of so many things. And when the email came across, I'm like, what? Yes. I could not type fast enough. And of course, all of our ufology, friends who, they think, well, I've been doing this 20 some odd years. Never mind. You know?
It's like,
Exactly. But they're very like, oh, that's so nice that you're doing this. We're going to listen in. Like, okay.
Yeah, I
So
go way back. Uh-huh.
you do. And I'm going to put a copy of your book up here. Here we go. So this is
Aw.
what we're talking about this evening, right? UFO
Yeah.
Contact from the Pleiades, volumes 1 and 2, 45th anniversary edition. To me is mind-blowing because you know just how far back it really goes,
Yeah,
right?
definitely. It's having this come out now, I think, is important for many reasons. But there are new generations that are just, they want to know, they want to learn. And so put things out there where they can learn and not be afraid, because there's such a positive message attached to this.
Right.
And to just kind of bring it back so that people can understand what really went on, because this is volume 1 and volume 2 combined.
Right.
And there's additional information in the front and the back of the book. So
Right.
it does
Right.
make it new and different.
I love it. The extras are always fun. But for those who aren't familiar with Billy Meier, shame
Mhm.
on you. You should be, because it really is like, it is one of the very first cases. I think, there's so many people fixated on Betty and Barney Hill, for example, and it got so much attention and limelight that I think, I don't know, maybe it's because it was here in the US, and maybe with Billy being so far on the other side of the world, it just didn't get the same attention. So can you bring everyone up to speed and just explain, the gist of everything, please?
Sure.
Thank
Billy
you.
Meier is a Swiss man. He has one arm. He lost one arm in a bus accident
Oh,
prior to moving back to Switzerland. This was in Turkey. He's a gentleman, a kind man. He's a farmer. And in January of 1975, he got a cooling sensation across his forehead. And then he heard a voice in his head that told him to go get on his moped and go out into the forest. So okay, and he did it. And he followed this voice to a clearing, and then he heard an audio, a sound. Couldn't figure out where it was coming from. And then before long, a silver disc appeared. The disc slowly settled down, landed, and a woman came out from behind it and introduced herself as Samyasa. And that began the contacts for Billy Meier in Switzerland. It's really quite a remarkable story. And what makes it so unique is it's a contactee case. It's not an abduction case. It's a contactee case. And he was given physical materials to be analyzed so that people could know that it had validation behind it. He was given movie footage. He was allowed to take movie footage of the craft, thousands of photographs, audio recordings of that sound that he first heard back in January of 75, and then also metal samples, which were very unique.
Wow. That is pretty much unheard of. I don't think there is any other case or situation with these similarities. I mean, you're lucky if you could capture even a glimpse of something,
That's true. That's very, very true, unless you live in Mexico, and then they're all over the place down there.
I know.
But they have so much physical evidence to be analyzed.
Mhm.
We've not had a case like this since, and not before.
Wow. So how did it come to land on your lap? And what made you decide to do it?
Well, I have to admit, we were a little reticent in the beginning. We had a company called Intercept, which was electronic countermeasure. And it is basically an investigative company, but we kept people and Fortune 500s and banks, financial institutions, from being wiretapped and eavesdropped on. So we're doing quite well with that company. And a friend of ours comes to us and says, you got to look into this UFO case. You got to get Intercept behind it. And that was Wendell Stevens, Lieutenant Colonel Wendell Stevens. And we said, no UFOs. And he says, no, you got to come see these photographs. So we drove a couple hours down to Tucson from Phoenix, looked at the photographs and went, they're too good to be true. They're just too good.
Right.
So at that point, we kind of backed out of it and said, no. And well, he went to Switzerland, talked to Meier, came back, and just was adamant that we get involved. We had some business over in London, and we decided, okay, we'll just pop over to Switzerland and probably figure out how he's doing it quite quickly,
Right.
and then go on about life. Well, we got there. We ended up staying 5 days. When we came home, we had inner negatives, we had the movie footage, we had the metal samples, and we had the audio recordings.
So he gave it all up.
He gave it to my husband and I.
Wow.
And said, you take this, you have it examined, have it analyzed. And fortunately, we had some wonderful connections that got us into great labs. We were at places like IBM, Scripps,
Right.
JPL, Boeing Labs, all of these different places. And that was, oh gosh, there wasn't technology like we have it today. Back when we were involved with this, there weren't cell phones. You couldn't take pictures on your camera. You didn't have personal computers because they weighed 75 pounds and they required an engineering degree to get into.
Right.
Yeah.
But there was no fudging either.
Yeah, no. And you didn't have Photoshop. And it was just the beginning of great companies like Industrial Light and Magic. But even special effects experts who we talked to said, I don't know how he could do this. Because you would either see the monofilament line if it was a model and it was being hung from a fishing pole, which I've heard many, many times. As soon as you start running it through the computer, you see the edge of that line. And you see the edge of the craft is much smaller than what Billy's edges of his crafts were. So, yeah, it's been quite a ride.
Right, to say the least.
Well, he obviously trusted you and your husband.
Yeah, he really did.
Wow.
He became a very good friend. We're still friends. I still talk to Billy quite often. And I just, for the 7 years we were involved in the investigation, it was nothing. I mean, we spent 365 days plus living at his farmhouse.
Wow.
We had a little camp trailer next to the farm itself, and we stayed there. We'd go over and stay. We had free range. We could go through anything, look at anything. It was a wonderful, wonderful experience. A lot of fun, a lot of work, but a lot of fun.
Did you have personal experiences while you were there?
I did.
Oh.
Both of us had. My
Excellent.
husband one day was up on the roof helping Billy repair some shingles that had torn off. And the ladder was over to his right. Billy was to his left. There was no way off this roof that had a pitch like this without going to the ladder. And Lee was talking to him, and he turned around to address him, and Billy was gone. About 3 hours later, Billy comes walking down the road, and he had a contact. So he had literally been, this silly word, but teleported somehow, moved from that space to another space to have this conversation.
Right.
So that was one. And then we had seen, it's so hard for me to describe because it was a blue-white light that just lit up everything in the middle of the night. It was behind the trees, above, below, through the trees, and it had no source. And it lasted for, Billy was on his way to a contact. We had stepped outside and we thought, well, should we follow him? And then we thought, no, he won't have his contact because that is usually how that works.
Right.
So we're standing there talking, and this light lights up everything all around. And then it blinks out. And we looked at each other and went, really, did we really see that?
That was the thing.
As if to say, yeah, you saw it. And it blinked right back on. Everything was white again. It was just amazing. It happened 3 times.
Wow.
That's a lot.
Yes.
Yeah.
So does he still have these communications like to this day? Is he still?
Yeah, he does have communications, but not on the level where they're giving him evidence to be analyzed and things like that.
Right.
Most of the communications, as I understand it, are telepathic now. They
Right.
gave him what they needed to prove that the case, or to at least give credence to his story.
Right.
And now it's between him and them and their discussions and what he's learning from them. And
Right.
then he's sharing it with various people as well. But it isn't so much go through, analyze this, and let's figure out what's happening.
Right. Maybe preparing him for his next, his next stage. So,
Could be.
how did they come to just choose him? Like, is this something that he was having experiences from the time he was a child, maybe, and had no recollection, or how did
He did.
they find him? Oh, okay.
When he
Okay.
was 5 years old, he was with his father.
Right.
And they were out walking, and he looked up and he saw this disc. And he says, "What is that?" And his dad, World War II was going on. His dad said, "Must be one of Hitler's craft."
Wow.
And then he started having these thoughts in his head and communications that way. He
Wow.
had another experience while he was in India with a different group of beings. And they were from the doll universe. And
Oh,
there's quite a bit, it's DAHL. There's
right.
quite a bit of documentation to back that up as well.
Mm.
And then there was an 11-year drought of no contacts after that until he started having contacts with the Pleiadians again.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So, why Billy?
Yeah.
I mean, I have to ask because
Oh,
there's,
no, we asked too.
yeah, I mean, yeah,
Yeah.
you have billions of people, on this
Mhm.
planet. What made him so unique? What was it about him that they felt we're just going to give you literally everything?
Yeah. What it was they felt an incarnational pattern with him. They
Okay.
understood his energy, and they said he had been incarnated at some point on the Pleiades, in the Pleiades, and
Hmm.
was here now. And so they recognized that energy.
I love that vibration and
Yeah.
frequency. It's
Yeah,
just
absolutely. Everything is about vibration and frequency.
yes.
Even the messages, when they would talk to him, and it was very interesting. They'd have these face to face meetings, and then Billy would go back to his office and have kind of a replay in his mind of everything that happened, and he would type
Mm.
out the contact notes. And they did talk about raising your vibration, raising your frequency, and how important that was, and that we're still sort of not the bottom of the totem pole, but we're working our way up, and we've got to do
Right.
some more work to get better at it.
Yeah, we don't play so nicely in the sandbox over here at all.
Did you
We
ever
don't.
mention feeling any fear with the communications, or
No, he never ever felt any fear. He felt,
wow.
and they did tell him one of the reasons that they used a female contact with him was so that he would, as a man, be more comfortable originally communicating with a woman. Eventually, they brought in male.
Hmm.
But he never had any fear of the ship, the people, none of it. He was very curious about it, and he felt like it was something perfectly normal. Of course, he had seen that craft when he was a kid too, so I think that
Mm-hmm.
probably opened him up to it.
Right.
Wow.
Wow. Wow. Um, can you, I mean, well, you haven't seen them. So, did he describe to you what these
Oh
beings look
my
like?
god.
I mean,
I was gonna
obviously
ask that.
humanoid. Most of us are, know the Pleiadians are more humanoid looking,
Right.
right?
Well, they're humanoid. They're When Samyasa got out of the craft and walked towards him, she appeared to be very tall. She had light colored hair, blue
Mm,
eyes, very fair skin, almost translucent looking.
mm.
Nothing different from us, other than there was one thing. Her earlobes came right into her jaw. There
Hmm.
was no lobe like we have. It just came straight into the jaw. And he noticed that. But he said, other than that, they could move around with humans and not have someone recognize that they were from a different star system.
Right. Mm.
Did they change their appearance in any way to blend in with humans? Because if they were that translucent, one would wonder why someone is skin is that way, or if it's they're ill or.
Yeah, when I say translucent, I mean, well, like many Nordic people from Sweden that have that very fair,
Yes.
refined type complexion. That's what she.
Okay. I'm just curious because I don't know what they look like. So
Yeah.
I'm very curious.
Very much like us. Very much like us. Mm-hmm.
So was there some kind of language barrier with them, or was all their communication telepathic?
Oh, no. Their communication could be telepathic. She had also learned Swiss German. Apparently, they can learn Earth languages very quickly. But they also had, like we have today on our telephones, language translators.
Oh, see, that's very interesting.
They had that before we were even considering them. So if they ran into a problem, they could rely on that as well.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah. And today, you know, I've got one on my phone because I have friends in Japan, and we're back and forth on it. Yeah.
Yes.
No, I think if you're a world traveler, I mean, I've got 2 or 3 different versions of a translator, depending on where I go. Some quicker than others, you know. But
you know what's new though?
But
you don't need a translator anymore. You can just speak it, and it goes right to the other language now. There's an app for that.
Exactly. Well, that's kind of what theirs did, you know.
Yeah, I find that amazing because it just opens up the world to everyone, right?
It does. It does.
Right.
It's something we need so we can communicate better with each other.
Yes.
Well, you know, it's definitely technology has come a long way since the days of Billy Meier.
Yeah.
I find interesting that they haven't been able to debunk him. Many have tried to debunk him.
Right.
And I came across an article that basically stated that a man, well, I guess a NASA engineer, actually endorsed the authenticity of his stuff, which is really
Several of them
substantial.
have. Yeah.
Yeah.
Several of them have. We worked with a gentleman that worked with NASA. His name was Alan Holt, and we worked with him on propulsion. We worked with H. David Froning from McDonnell Douglas on the concepts of propulsion that the Pleiadians could be using, because they told Billy that it takes 7 hours to get here. Well, the Pleiades are 500 light years away. So if you take that 7 hours, that's what? And they drew it out so beautifully. You have 3.5 hours of exiting their time frame, their frequency. Then space and time become null and void, and they enter ours. And it's 3.5 hours to enter ours. Those are Earth hours.
Right.
So it's their whole concept of what they called tachyon propulsion. We spoke with many scientists and engineers who were working on similar theories, hoping to get a space plane up that could do that.
Right.
I'm impressed he never disappeared.
That was going to be my next question.
I know. Well, you last one was mine, and you said, "I'm like, we have one brain, you know, best friends." But no, I'm curious. Did he ever feel threatened by the governments here, world governments, not
the
only
government.
there?
Not the government, people. I mean, if it was a government, they wouldn't have missed. But the man has been shot at numerous times. We've had people there. We were there. Wendell was there when he was shot at. And he lives down in this kind of almost a valley, but not what you think of a big valley or anything. Very small, surrounded by hills and trees. So it's easy for somebody to get up there and take aim and shoot. Fortunately, they've always missed. We were there when his daughter, Gilgamesha, was coming home from school, and somebody tried to kidnap her. So he's had more issues with people, just normal humans, that don't want to deal with this, primarily people that are involved with more dogmatic concepts. And they just want nothing to do with it. And he's had to deal with that. But governments have not stepped in. one of the things that we did that allowed us to get into the laboratories we were working in was to agree to say, okay, whatever information we get, you get too. It's okay. You can learn from it too. Because if you share information, there's not going to be a big problem. We never, ever had an issue. We had a lot of people tell us that, oh, when we first came out with volume 1, your printing presses will be blown up, and it never happened. Right. We had very good experiences in working conditions. I can't complain at all.
Right. It makes complete sense. Share the information.
Right.
If you're giving it to them, there's no reason for them to go after it. If they want you to delve into something, they're just going to say, can you delve into this? We need to know more about this.
Right.
Yes,
we had a friend in London that was affiliated with some of those types of organizations. And we had gone into Amsterdam on another case just to see what it was about. And he specifically said, find out what you can find out about this. It's happening between 3 a.m. and 6 a.m. And so we went in and we found out what we could and just brought it back to him. Okay, now you know what he says. Talk to each other. You don't need us as the in-between.
Right.
That is remarkable. Here, someone has an abduction or contact, and it gets out, and all of a sudden the men in black are at your door. Yeah. I'm impressed by this.
But that's here too, though, right? Like
that's what I mean.
Different, I think, in the United States. I mean, you look at even disclosure. I think most of the world disclose, like they've not always been transparent. They've disclosed something, but the United States is just holding on for dear life.
We're really backwards. We're taking baby steps. And I don't think we need to, but we are.
Right.
We've got to hit a point where at some point our government begins to trust the public.
I know.
Right now, it's a distrust on both sides, and it's kind of sad.
I think it's all about control. Sorry.
I agree. I absolutely agree. And if you look at the hearings and things going on now, instead of looking at it from a standpoint of what they could learn from the experiences that those Navy pilots had, things like that, they go into it's national security, be afraid. Why?
Right.
Why do we always have to be afraid? They continually implant that concept, and it does not work anymore.
No, I think everybody's pretty much has camera phones now, and people, we have internet. People are sharing that information, and I think they're willing to share the information with the government. I mean, they're sharing the information with MUFON and other, collective organizations. And I mean, look at the CE5 movement. I mean, Billy could have a whole entourage going on with CE5, but if you think back into I think it was the 70s again, or 80s, Russian scientists were just, we don't have to go to space. They would go to one of their Air Force bases because we just called them. And
Star
they would come
City.
in.
Yeah.
Right? And I'm just
they have a place there called Star City. We met with Marina Popovich, and she was explaining to us that this is perfectly normal. What is the problem with you guys? Why don't you understand this?
Right.
Well, if we did understand it, if we do understand it, we're too busy hiding it. And before long, we're going to have so much stuff swept under the rug. We're going to be tripping over it. Yeah.
Right.
Well,
I know.
We probably wouldn't need a government if we had everything. That's probably why.
True.
Yes.
Well, don't tell them that though, because they'd be really upset.
Oh yeah. Well.
Oh boy. Do you feel? I mean, I'm a huge lover of ancient history, and I research things until you practically kill it and can't go in any other direction. So, but I mean,
that's what you need to do.
You do. If you think back to ancient times, this is all quite normal for ancient civilizations, and you could see it in out of place artifacts. You could see it in petroglyphs, hieroglyphs. You could see it in ancient monuments, statues. It was all pretty common knowledge, and the ancients spoke about it.
Yes.
Do you think that we've had, these races on the
I think
planet
we
in our
were
oceans?
seeded. I
Right.
do. I think we were seeded. When
Oh,
you go
okay.
back through the history, what you
Yes.
find is in practically every culture out there, a connection to various stars. Sometimes it's Pleiades, sometimes Orion, sometimes Sirius,
Yes.
Arcturus, Aldebaran. These stars
Yes.
continually come up in your history. And
Right.
the legends, the myths, even the writings talk about how the beings came in and helped them
Yes.
develop their culture, learn
Yes.
more about how to make better farming implements and use water more wisely and how to set up observatories, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
I think originally we were seeded, and according to what the Pleiadians told Billy, their ancestors are our ancestors. So
Okay.
they sort of look at us as their little brothers and sisters,
Right.
and just sort of keeping an eye on us. And I think along the way, they gave us knowledge that we needed at the time so we could develop better.
Right. Is it working? I mean, I have to say,
no pressure, no pressure to answer that.
No, I go back to the 60s, the whole love child and hippie movement.
Absolutely.
Who was just love child, love the planet, love the forest,
Love
grounding, barefoot. What happened?
We sure got angry, didn't we?
We did.
But I think if you really look at all of the things going on and the way they, like I said, promote fear. Fear promotes anger.
Yes.
Because you don't understand things. If you had a better understanding, and if we had more communication, not this shutdown society we're in now, where if someone disagrees with you, oh, you're canceled, get out of here. No. If you had communication with respect for each other, actually heard each other, I think we could really get past all of this garbage going on now quickly.
Yeah, well, war starts with anger, angry men in suits, and it continues for the almighty dollar.
Yeah.
And we get offended very easily these days.
Oh my God, everybody's got this huge chip on their shoulder.
Oh my gosh, if you want a beating, just go on X and say something contradictory to anyone. And it's like
verbal accostation.
I apologized to someone and I was telling Michelle, they were saying, wow, I'm impressed. Somebody on X apologized. I go, well, I misread that. Of course I'm gonna apologize. That's who I am. Yeah. I don't belong there. I don't belong there. It's not my people.
No. Look at it this way. Maybe you do belong there because somebody recognized that you apologized when you need to.
Absolutely. So always. I always do.
You're certainly a teacher. Yeah.
Yes. Perspective.
We always apologize.
Very important.
No, I think it's important to apologize when you're wrong and that you can learn a lot from other people, but that's who I am. Everybody's not like that. I think so many people are so self-absorbed right now, but
but maybe it takes people like you saying I'm sorry when something comes up. I mean, it's important. And we've kind of set it all aside, Amelia. They're just I don't know, they're so busy and so locked into their own little worlds. We've forgotten how to respect each other, how to be caring for each other, how to
raise each other up.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
Get down there.
Instead, also we think we've raised them up with money. We don't.
It's a different world.
Up through what we're doing right now.
Yeah.
Back and forth. Learning from each other. Sharing. Yeah. It's a big deal.
I think a lot of the messages, what I love, and my friend Preston Dennett does the same thing, is he talks so much about positive interactions with different races, because I agree with you. There is so much fear being instilled into us. I mean, it's how you keep us under the thumb. Yeah. But what I love about the story with Billy is the fact that he received so many positive messages. And I truly believe that we need that, because we are spending huge amounts of resources doing space exploration. Yeah. And when William Shatner, I'm sure you read what he had to say at one point, because he's very vocal about it. He said, I was so sad to look down at the planet. I wanted to see it my entire life. And when I looked at it, I realized when I looked out into the abyss of stars, which I'd always looked up to as a child, and it brought me to tears, because we aren't treating our home the way we should be treating our home. And this is what they're essentially saying, in their messages to Billy. From what I'm getting out of a lot of it is, you have to take care of your home.
Absolutely. You have to look at it as your earth is your mother.
Yes.
The way the American Indian cultures do.
Yes.
You have to take care of your mother because she cares for you.
Yes.
She nurtures you. Give back. But we also have to learn to care for each other.
Yes.
From the standpoint of stopping this, always have to be angry, always have to fight, always have to be in some form of conflict. I do believe we live on a very polarized planet. It is like a pendulum, just swings back and forth. But we can find that harmony if we work towards it. But who wants to take the time these days to do that? And
the collective is an amazing thing. And I think if everybody on a global scale put in one positive thought into the collective every single day, I really think you would see mountains move.
You can start on X just by telling people to change their profiles. They're all combative. Yes. They're all combative. If you read their profiles, I'm going to argue with you. I'm going to tell you you're wrong. I'm like, oh my gosh, I thought this was social media. Like,
I don't do any of it. I'm all love and light. And just go look at my Instagram. Love, light.
Yeah, it's just,
live your adventure, live your best life. That's me.
Well, I'm only there because I can't get the news here. We're censored. We're censored here, so I go there to get my news.
Yes. Can you share other messages that Billy was given? Because apparently there were there's a lot.
There's a lot of things that they've said. They talk about creation. They talk about how important that is to recognize that everything is a part of creation.
Right.
And to be connected to it rather than separated from it.
Right.
If we have a tendency to separate ourselves through so much mental work that we play in, because we're always in our heads. We need to get into our heart more, into our spirit more. They talk about how a person creates his own luck by finding that connection to creation and existing within the spirit of yourself.
Right.
They talk about how important it is that we start to really elevate our vibrations. If we want to take part in what's happening in the universe, and we're talking about it now. I mean, they're getting ready to shoot another one off to Mars. So, no, we have to learn that what we do affects everything. So it's like that little, we are all related. It's a chain reaction, the butterfly effect. It's out there. So
somebody needs to tell Elon.
So stop throwing bombs off, because that.
No, someone needs to tell Elon, because he keeps sending those rockets into orbit.
I know, and they keep blowing up. The thing is that leaves a ripple effect. As soon as you said butterfly effect, what does that do dimensionally?
Well, it's like they had told Billy that if we had a major nuclear war here, it would not just affect Earth. It would affect everything through the universe, because it is that ripple effect. But it's not only that, it's our vibration, our frequency as humans, as beings, has a problem. Because they have what we call, or we have what they call, let me put it that way, auric stench. I love the term. So our aura basically stinks, our energy stinks. Because we're not grounding to the earth. No. We're not connecting to creation. We're stuck somewhere in the middle. They can only be around humans for a short period of time before they, quote unquote, start spinning around in their head. And
I
then
could see that. We must suck the
Yeah.
life out of them.
we do it with each other too.
Yes.
That I
mean,
do know.
Yeah, when you're
Yeah.
with someone that you don't like, it's like, oh God,
Oh, that's a
wanna
hard one.
leave.
It's
Yes.
like Thanksgiving, the day after.
Just give me a hug. Give me a hug. No, don't give me a
Yeah.
hug.
It's like,
No.
no, sage.
I know. I know.
No, it's draining. It's very
It
draining.
is.
You don't have to
It
be
is.
empathic to understand that. When you feel drained being around a person, and make note of that person, you might want to spend less time with them, or ground yourself before you see them if you can't avoid that.
Mhm.
Grounding is a big thing. I think a lot of people, I'm so happy I grew up. I was born in 1969, and I grew up playing in the park and coming in
Bare
when the
feet.
street lights were on, bare feet, even on the
Bare
road.
feet. Yes.
Even on my bike, I was barefoot, but I'm still like that. I don't wear socks
Absolutely.
all winter.
I hike barefoot. Yeah, that's
Yeah, I'm always
Mhm.
barefoot. I just feel more comfortable that way. And I think they're really missing out because they're like this all the time instead of we
true.
would walk through the forest. Our parents
Yeah.
didn't know where we were, but we would
No.
walk through forests, and we had a ravine nearby. It really, I'm so grateful and so happy that I had that childhood. I wish my daughter did. You know, we do
I
live in the
feel the
country, so that
same
helps.
way.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just so
Especially we're
sad.
talking about evolution.
Yeah.
We need to keep evolving ourselves. I mean, I'm an experiencer and have been from, the time I was a child, and you forget after a while, and then you have to rediscover it and get over the fears and the intrusions and things of that nature. But there's one thing that's come out of it for me is the fact that it does make you realize you have to evolve because these incredible beings are taking the time to come in and give you information. They're coming in and they're trying to wake you up.
Uh-huh.
And I think that, the fear and the conditioning rather of fear holds back
But
a lot of people. So it's nice that Billy didn't feel that fear. I don't recall a lot of my childhood stuff. Now that I think about things, I go, no, that's what this was. And I thought it was this. No, it was not. And you realize how connected everything is within the paranormal, within ufology, within cryptozoology. They all tie together in one form or another, which is
everything is interrelated.
yes,
Every single thing. Humans, plants, everything that happens out there, all the flora, fauna, the earth,
yeah,
it's all connected.
Mhm.
And
yes,
understanding that connection and just, I mean, it's not anything you have to give conscious thought to. Once you
right,
understand it, it's just a reality, and you just feel it and you flow with it.
right.
It makes a big difference for individual growth and collective growth.
Mhm.
Hmm. Agreed. Agreed. Um, Amelia, did you have
I
gonna
was
jump in?
just going to say, do they ever speak about death and
Hmm?
transition?
Um, it happens to them too, but
Hmm.
they do believe in reincarnation, and they say that there are several different levels that happen. And hang on just a second, I just had something pop up that needs to go away. Um, anyway, they have these 7 different levels of a developing person, and they do that through the reincarnation cycles.
That is interesting
Yeah.
because Dante's Inferno is 7 levels.
Yeah, and theirs is a spiral, so that
So
you're
is his.
constantly changing and growing as you go through each of these levels. Yeah.
So is Dante's. The
Mhm.
photograph is, yeah, it
I've
looks like
seen it. Yeah.
yes, the painting is stunning. Oh,
Mm.
that is interesting.
I was going to
Um,
ask you, Michelle, what was it that you feared, or what do you feel brought the fear up in you?
um, I think it was just not really having an understanding. I mean, according to my mother, um, I'm glad I asked the questions when I did, because after she passed last year, and I'd be just kind of like in limbo right now. But anyway, she's like, "Oh no, when you were a child, you were forever out looking at the stars." I know it's generational because there's stories that go back from my grandparents and great grandparents and my parents on both sides. I never realized my father did, because he was always the type of person that's like didn't want to talk about anything like that until I became an adult. Then he spilled the beans on everything, right? Like, thanks for that. I grew up thinking there was something wrong with me.
He thought he was protecting you. Yeah, it's that generation. Yeah. It's that generation.
Yeah, you just don't talk about things like that. But I think when it started happening, there was just a lot of weird things that were going on, and a lot of it when I was awake, which was great. But I also know that there were times I would just wake up, I would feel hands on my head, and I could feel energy and warmth around it. And I come to learn that, okay, we're exchanging information. That's okay. If I was researching, they would always bring me to things that they wanted me to see. And I ended up I know it's total different directions than I'd be looking to go, how did I get here? I don't even know why I'm looking at this, but okay. But I think it came down to the intrusion of, because you're in bed, you're supposed to feel safe, right? And
this really gets her.
It's not, because I could hear when they would come in. I mean, I've got recordings of like the different like clicking and clacking and communications and things like that, which was fascinating to me. But I roll over and there's a gray standing there. I'm just like, nope. And I roll over. I'm just like, I am not ready for this right now. And then a friend of mine who's an experiencer, she says, well, they're very respectful. Just say no, but you just don't feel like it. And he did go away. And then it just got to a point where I could feel, because it would be like static in the air and you would see lights. And I finally, if I was just exhausted, because my schedule is very heavy, and I would just say, I'm tired, I have a headache, make sure I'm asleep, and make sure I wake up here in the morning. That's all I would say.
My clothes on the right way.
That's true. And
don't put those PJs on backwards.
Yeah, exactly. I'll work, I'll do what you want, just make sure I'm sleeping when I'm out of here. Then I became more comfortable, and I would wake up exhausted, and I knew I was out somewhere doing something. But it's frustrating because they're not letting me remember everything. I had little glimpses, and I'm sure there's reasons for it. And maybe because I'm saying, don't bother me, let me sleep, and then just take me. It's like, she's not really ready. So I'm no Billy Meier. Let's put it that way.
You don't know for sure. You might have all those downloads and you're not even aware of them because you're so busy.
Or they might surface at another time.
Yeah.
That's
not time yet.
Quite often. Yeah. We've run into a lot of contact cases where people have had experiences, can't remember it. And then suddenly they wake up one day and it's like an encyclopedia is pouring out of them of all this information.
That's Michelle.
Yeah.
That's
Michelle.
Yeah.
I just know instinctively what I'm supposed to do. If I'm working, what I'm supposed to do. Amelia and I will work, and I'll just go. Goes, what do you want to do this? I don't know. Just do this. How do you know? I don't know. just do it. And it works.
We do energy work together where we're connected on the same level. I used to be frightened a lot more than now. Now I know I'm safe, so I'm not as afraid. But I constantly say I've never been contacted. I've never been abducted. No, I don't. Like,
yes, you have.
I can deal with the dark demon stuff because I know how to move those along, but not the other stuff.
It's a wondrous world. All I know is I feel a lot more connected to it. I've done light work and energy planetary stuff for a long time, just more so in the last handful of years. And I think a lot of it has to do with this part of the evolution. Because you just know how to do things. You just know what you're supposed to do. Right. And I would not have known that until I started accepting everything again. The 7 million I do, that's just been stuff I've trained to do instinctively, and it's just incorporated in and it works. But the planetary stuff is quite different.
Very good.
Sometimes you just want to shake people by the shoulders.
Yeah, well,
that too.
Yeah, sometimes you
just a big energy smack.
Can you do what you're doing here?
Yeah,
you're affecting everybody. It's so many people are so angry right now. It's just unbelievable.
Well, I actually had a very dear friend of mine tell me that I was too happy, and I thought, really? Can you really be too happy? I mean,
is there such a thing?
No.
Yeah, no. And then I said, no, I'm perfectly okay. Why are you so angry? Because what you're seeing in me is contrary to what you're feeling. So what's bothering you? And we had a big, long discussion about it. But I don't know. The anger today is borderline out of control, and it's uncomfortable for people. And so I think that's isolating us more and more, which is not good, which really precludes us from having great conversations like this, exploring different ideas. It's okay if someone disagrees with you. Learn from it. Learn about yourself. Learn about them.
Right.
Let it be all right.
It's
not confrontation. It's a different perspective.
Sometimes it's that, and sometimes I always say to my sister-in-law, sometimes her relationship with her mom's in a home now, but her relationship with her mother growing up was difficult. But I said to her, you have to look at how your mom grew up, how she was raised, to understand why she reacts to you the way she does. And that's how I had to do it with my mother.
Yeah.
To understand why my mom would say certain things in the way she spoke to me.
But sometimes your energy just doesn't jive. Just because you're related doesn't mean you guys are supposed to.
No, I understand that. But my mom and I were fine once all of it was figured out. Once I moved out, got married, we had a great relationship, but it only lasted a few years. She passed away after that. But I understand why she did the things she did or said the things she said, because she was beaten as a child, in the culture. It was just like that, where they would hit their children. My dad never hit us. It's a different thing. And I think I look at my sister-in-law's mother, who was 9 years old, sent to be a maid at a stranger's home and to live with them to make money for the family. Imagine that life at 9 years old. That responsibility, living with the strangers. God only knows what happened to her. It carries through people's lives, and it makes them who they are. So
my daughter's 33, and I would not stand for that. Just saying.
Yeah.
No, no, it's a different world. Now you have to remember this woman's turning 98 this year. So it was a different world. It was Northern Italy. It was the war. It's just different. But you have to understand where somebody came from to understand why they are like this, and then try to help them instead of criticizing. Or saying this person's so nasty, but why are they?
At the same time, maybe let them be themselves and work through their own things while you try to help them. I know so many people that try to force you. Oh, you have to do it this way.
No.
You can't do that. Everybody's going through their own lessons. And that experience is just such a big deal, really.
It is.
What they come from and what they end up with. Yeah.
It's all, everyone's journey is different. Do you feel that when we're talking about evolution and how happy you are, and I love it because your energy is just fantastic.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Do you feel like did this case somehow, because 7 years is a really long time to work, with one individual so closely. Did it change you somehow? It would have changed me.
Definitely changed me.
Yeah.
First of all, once you're into UFOs, you're never out.
Right.
You're in forever. It's an addictive thing.
You can't shake it.
It's because your curiosity is heightened. Right. So you hear something, and every time you think you have an answer, there's 50 more questions, and it's a perpetual learning experience. That changed to me. I love to learn something every day. That's been my goal since I was a kid.
I say it
learn something new every day. Yep. But I didn't expect it to be dumped from a dump truck right on top of us, because
That's a lot.
so much is going on, and how do you absorb it? So you sort of back up from it a little bit, and then you find yourself drawn back into it, and more curious questions, and you continue going with it. So it's part of my life now.
You were chosen.
Pardon?
You were chosen.
Maybe from the reaction that Billy and his friends gave us when we met them originally in Switzerland. Yeah, I would say so, because they all said, look at her eyes. They knew who I was by my eyes.
Wow.
Never.
We're saying that a lot tonight, Michelle. We need to get rid of that word.
I know. I know.
You have to say something other than wow. It sounds so uneducated.
I'll change it. Gads.
I think what had happened, and I'd ask Billy, and he only smiled. He would never give me a yes or no answer. How did they know? What was the interaction there from these people sitting at the table? And he would never say, the Pleiadians told me or didn't tell me, but they all knew me by my eyes.
Right.
That's beautiful.
Maybe just one of them. Well, you never know. If they are our forefathers, and I mean, I do believe in the seeding thing. I do believe that we were definitely pushed through the evolution quicker than some, so it's very possible. Do you think you've had experiences even when you were there or outside of there that maybe you're not remembering?
I know that I have experiences I'm not remembering, but not from Switzerland.
Right.
That was totally different. That was the investigator hat was on, and I was totally focused on that.
Yes.
But I was with my parents. We were going to my grandfather's funeral in California, and it was a January cold night, full moon, snow all over the ground up here. So it was very, very bright. And Mom and I looked out the window and we saw this object. And it was unusual. It was sort of like an arrow with a rounded front end. And we were yelling at my dad, who happens to be a rocket engineer. He was one of the first engineers involved with the missile projects with Von Braun.
Wow.
And we're screaming, stop the car.
Dad's like, no way.
And it wasn't for IKEA.
And he says, no, we've got to keep going. And, no, stop the car. Mom and I are both yelling at him. Finally, he pulls over. We get out of the car and we look up, and this thing is enormous. The first words out of his mouth is, where would we land that son of a gun? And then it was, it's not making
Dads. Gotta love them.
The engineer brain,
Yes.
And we lost a lot of time that night. We lost 3 hours that night.
Wow. But at least you remember that much of it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You're fortunate that way, right?
Flying over and then nothing.
Do you think that was the first of many, or do you feel it was your first, or?
No, I had one prior and one after.
Okay.
Where I've had missing time.
Right.
And both times with my husband before he passed.
Right.
We were
I'm so sorry.
in the car, and one span was 18 hours.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's,
Getting from Arizona to California, 18 hours gone.
That is insane.
Oh, that's highly suspect.
It's no coincidence that you would end up. Like, I don't believe in coincidence. I'm a big synchronicity person.
Synchronicity, absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's definitely, you were meant to do this. And the fact that you were meant to work on, in my opinion, one of the most substantial cases. It was very underrated, like I mentioned before. To have so much evidence, there's no doubt, that all of this happened and that he could provide all of this information. And his ex-wife tried to debunk him.
I think
well, you have to think about what the source is,
Wow.
Exactly.
Golly.
We have karaoke on tape because we recorded a lot of stuff. And we had Japanese crews with us over there several times. We have her on tape talking about what she saw, how incredible it was, who was with her. And then they have their issues. And I got to tell you, Poppy, as we called her, fiery Greek. I mean, she could really have a temper.
Right.
And when she left, she was still angry, and she just turned loose. And no, this is not real. It's a hubcap.
That's so sad.
Okay.
To dismiss that experience, even for yourself, is quite sad.
It's groundbreaking, though. It's evolutionary, just on its own, and to try to interfere with something clearly shows that you don't have an understanding of the scope of what it actually means.
Very true, but it's also something that you kind of need in a weird way, because it makes you, as an investigator, look back over everything and say, God, is there anything we missed?
Right.
As the contactee, Billy, has to get more centered in his own truth of the experiences. And of all of the people that have witnessed this, they have to do that same thing. So in a way, when you get that pushback, it's a good thing.
Right.
It's not anything that, at least for me, I don't look at that as a negative. When we first brought Volume 1 out, people all over the world had the same thought we did. It's too good to be true. It's got to be a fake. Called us all kinds of names, screamed a lot, yelled a lot. And it made us pull back and say, okay, well, if they think that, let's go find out how right we're being versus what they're saying.
There you go. So you say thank you.
Exactly.
Thanks for the push. Yeah, thanks for the push. So now we fast forward, to modern times, and you have, I'm going to put the book back up just for people to see it. We come in. We come in and we've got this 45th anniversary edition.
Right.
And you had mentioned that it's important, that people need to be able to read this again. So you've re-released it with both volumes 1 and 2, additional fun information. Why is it so important? What's the significance?
One, because it does have a positive message. That, I think, is really primary.
Right.
Also because of the new generations that are coming up. And a lot of these kids may be starseeds, but they know that we're going to be in space, in the universe at some point soon.
Right.
If they can learn the different things that actually exist out there, they're going to be better prepared.
Right.
Now, the thing with the book, and the reason we put it out, after 7 years of investigating, we can't come out and say, you have to believe this. That's not our role. We're the investigators.
Right.
We present the evidence. That's what's in these books. We've got a documentary that we made in 1982 that's going to be re-released next month called Contact from the Pleiades. It's great.
Oh, wow.
And and it has even more information than the book has, because it's all of us doing our own thing as we live.
Right.
But these kids are open to this.
They are.
Let them make their own decisions.
Right.
The ones that it resonates with, they're going to have a blast with it. And those that it doesn't resonate with, it's okay. They're not ready.
I think that's the perfect way to put it out there. They're not ready. Because not everybody wants to do it. I think some people are happy and I always say the bubble, and I don't mean it facetiously in any way. I just feel that some people, they just want that safety factor. They're not interested in what lays beyond. They're concerned about, hey, I work 2 jobs. I have a family. Kids got soccer. We got school. I don't have time to concern myself with anything else. Other people are people of very strong faith who don't want to go down that road at all. But no, you're right. Kids right now.
Everybody has their own lessons.
Yes.
This life is full of lessons. We each have our own.
Yes.
And when they're ready to get into it, they will. When they're not, it's okay. It's okay.
I think this is the generation.
Yeah.
Because we're a generation of technology, right? And I think people with the internet, of course, I think, Yana, you're killing me. Dr. Yana, I love you. Another one of the hosts on the show. But I think that with technology, with the internet, they don't have that same fear.
True. But you know what? We have so much technology today, and we rely on it so heavily. We've forgotten to rely on ourselves. We've forgotten to rely on our spiritual side. I don't like to use the term spiritual because I'm not talking religion or anything like that. I'm talking about that connection we have to each other. I'm talking about the connection we have to creation, to the earth, to everything.
Right.
That we have to sort of balance with the technology that we play in now. Because right now our heads are just full of, oh, am I going to do this with AI? I'm going to get on my phone and do social media all day long. Am I going to do this? It's all geared towards technology. We need that centering time within ourselves. And that's really important right now.
We need to get back to the planet. We need to get back to nature.
Yeah.
It's really hard when you see the new subdivisions going up in their backyards are like 10 by 6. Everything's shrinking because everything else becomes more important. And I feel like
jungle, right?
I feel like we have a generation of ostriches, to be honest. Even my generation, it's like head in the sand, don't want to see it. I don't want to deal with it.
Yeah.
And I think it's sad. I really do.
It's so wondrous, though. It's so wondrous. There's
I
so
agree.
much, right? There's
Yeah.
so much. Oh, my God. You have to find an adventure in literally everything.
Absolutely. And there are so many to have. And it doesn't mean you have to go anywhere. You just have to learn something. You have to experience something and then appreciate what it is you learned and experienced. And that makes all the difference in the world.
Just go outside the box and learn something. Be daring.
Yeah.
Be daring. Do it.
Don't do what Amelia does. Stands in the backyard at night and talks to spirits. Don't be that daring. Because like Michelle and I have a huge case.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. Kathy, hi, Kathy. Thank you for contributing and thank you for being here.
I'm
Where
seeing
will the
everything.
movie be aired?
Yes.
The movie will be available on DVD and probably streaming.
Nice.
That's all being worked out now by the publisher Beyond Words of the book. They're also going to do the documentary, and it's Contact from the Pleiades, the documentary film.
Nice.
Yeah,
I can't wait.
so it'll be available on Amazon and places like that.
Right. See, guys, there you go. You'll be able to catch it in all kinds of amazing places. So I personally am looking really forward to it because I just love to I love a book, but then I'm funny with books because I don't like to necessarily rustle the pages. So sometimes you almost have to buy 2. One you can rustle the pages of and one you just don't touch.
Right.
So, but a movie.
You can replay it, run it back, slow-mo.
Exactly.
I love breaking in my books. I do. I love the smell of them. I'm not an e-reader. I'm definitely
Me too.
Yeah.
I like the feel of a book. I want to hold it in my hand and read.
Oh, nothing more than the smell, especially when they're old and antique. Even that must. It just, I don't know. I feel like it takes me back to another life. I think that's why.
It probably does.
I think so, because I collect a lot of them that are hand sewn and beautiful. Yeah.
That is great.
Do we think that talking, like, we'll go back, I know I'm bouncing around a little bit, but we just get into so much stuff and something comes into my head and I just have to blurt it out. So getting back into a little bit about disclosure. Do you think that the public is really ready for it? I mean, I think this movie is enough to bring people forward and say, you know what, this guy had an experience for all of these years, given all of these positive messages, and he's still having these incredible experiences. it's okay.
Mm-hmm. We have to get to the okay part.
Right.
I think people are ready for disclosure on a level that they may not even be aware of.
Right.
But I think we, all of us that are involved in this topic, can help them if we open up about our experiences. If there is a repository where people can go read this, go read a story by this person and that person and see their experiences, hear their voices, I think we could do a lot to help open it up.
Right.
Very easily. And what's happening now is so many will call so-and-so, give them their story, and then it's locked down. It's not shared. It needs to be shared.
Right.
It's tragic if it isn't.
Yeah, it really is.
But I think we live in a time where it's more acceptable. It's because I go back to the time of my father. I don't talk about things like that. Okay, whatever. But meanwhile, you'd rather me as a child thinking there's something detrimentally wrong with me. And as an
That's
adult
where they
saying,
ruined
no,
us.
it was all good. I knew it was all
Yeah.
good.
That's where they ruined us and they don't realize it. That's where the therapy came
I
in.
know. I know. There's stuff going on in the house. No, the house is settling.
Yeah.
No, really. There's something going on in the house.
There's a spirit in here. You're seeing things.
I was fortunate. My dad was, like I said, a rocket engineer. He talked about the things he saw at White Sands. And his friends did. And these were not missiles they were sending up. These were out there hovering, watching the missiles they were sending up. So he talked about that and he was open about it. So I never had this issue of, oh, they don't exist. To me, they were just a real thing. And my mother was very intuitive and psychic. So I had, a great left brain and a great right brain to play it. And that was wonderful.
You're very fortunate, because sometimes I think parents do the most harm. My father just didn't want to be open to it until later in life he became comfortable. My mother was always open to it. I'd say, oh, I saw this, this guy in the house, and she'd be like, oh, what does he look like? And she'd throw out a bunch of family pictures and let me pick out without leading. It was very, very encouraging. Set a place at the table. Thanks. Like it wasn't a bad experience that way.
Right.
But I think when it comes to things like this, it's like, you don't think to take pictures. As a teenager, when I'm seeing something, there were no satellites in the sky back in the 70s, so when something was zinging across the night sky, and I lived up in northern Canada, something was really zinging across the sky. I'd watch craft, I spent half an hour watching a craft come down silently behind the mountains, because I grew up in a valley surrounded by multiple lakes and mountains, and you would just watch it zing up in the air and take off. And I'm thinking, next day, military helicopters just swarming around. I'm like, I knew it was something, but you don't think to take pictures.
But the 70s was different. It cost you $30 to develop 12 photos back then. It was a different time. You said to your mom, I want you to please take this in to develop. I took pictures of the stars. She's going to smack you out. She's like, where do you think that $30 is coming from?
What is wrong with you? Yeah, I don't know. Maybe.
Now it's like you can click away and delete, where before you couldn't do. And even with a digital camera, it's so much more convenient. And
there's a lot of fudging with that. Like in your investigation, Britt, do you find that you have more to debunk? Like, are you debunking more than you're seeing, or are you?
Not really. Two things happened. First of all, we got involved with the Mexico waves down in around Mexico City.
Right.
Incredible footage down there. Over 10,000 videos. So that's a lot. And these people are triangulating these objects over the city. They're in the south, in the north, in the east, in the west, and they're all filming. So they get a size, a location, a specific area the object is over. So really nothing to debunk there. And then I learned, and I learned this through my own experiences. I can't tell anybody what they're experiencing is wrong. It's their experience.
That's true.
Their reality. It's their consciousness. It's not mine. The best I can do is listen and learn from them.
That's very kind and generous.
Well, that's how we should be. And I don't look at it as kind and generous. I look at it as what this person went through is giving me a gift. by telling me and sharing with me what they experience. That's important.
Mm-hmm.
And if we all share those gifts, we're all going to learn from each other.
And that's why you were chosen.
Maybe,
Could be.
So, what are your thoughts on a lot of these clouds that look like they could have something in? Because I've seen them,
Crazy.
and um, I'll be the first to say no. I mean, one of them was releasing something because it was just acting really erratic and thinking not another cloud of the sky anywhere else.
Right.
But I did have a friend one time who lived in a high rise on Lake Ontario, and she said, something's coming at you right now. Better watch it because I can see the back end of what looks like a craft sticking out of a cloud. So heads up. I waited for it because she wasn't that far. And when that thing came in and around, you could see it was the back end of a saucer shape. It was just like peeking its little derriere out of the back of the cloud.
Out of a lenticular cloud, a round lenticular shape?
Yeah. Oh, yes. Wow. And you could see it had this sort of like levels on it, and like little bump outs.
Almost like a saucer.
It was, the back end of it was this saucer, because it was more round than it was cigar shape as far as the shape of the cloud. And I've just looked at the back and I'm thinking, you're not even trying to hide for real, are you? But I started watching the clouds after that.
Years ago, there was a series of photographs that were taken in Japan of a craft actually going into a cloud, and then the cloud was starting to move faster as the craft was in it. And then you could see the craft come out of it. It was kind of it was a disc, but it was a hockey puck type shape. Mm-hmm. And just went right into the cloud, stopped, and then the cloud started moving faster, and then the craft backed out. Yeah.
Wow.
So those things do happen.
You okay, Amelia?
Yeah, I just had a deja vu moment, and I had to catch my breath.
Oh.
Whew, that was weird. It felt like something, like I just dropped back in. Sorry. That was strange. When you were talking about the clouds, it clicked right there. I knew the conversation before you finished it. And now I've got goosebumps. This happens to me.
Good.
Okay. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah.
Right.
It's just because you get a little dizzy, right? You get a little dizzy when they're that clear.
Yeah.
Mm.
That is crazy. So we've met before, Brit.
Oh yeah. Just I feel so comfortable, like you said, just sitting in a living room and talking, and that's how I feel.
Yeah.
It's nice.
Oh, good. We're glad. We're so honored to have you. And I have to say thank Billy for us, because were not for him, we wouldn't have you right now.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, so grateful.
And I will pass it on to him. I'm going to have a conversation Saturday morning via Zoom with him.
Oh, nice.
That's
so fun. Yeah.
Has his birthday passed yet? I noticed on
February.
YouTube.
Yeah.
Okay. Happy belated birthday. I saw in February. I saw that on YouTube that he was had a birthday coming up.
Yeah. He's
excellent.
He's just such a nice, earthy guy. I was asking him a question one time about how he deals with people that don't like him. And he says, I just give them love, let them go about their life, and I go about mine.
And that's why he was chosen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Now his son he has been seeing crafts since he was young as well.
Atlantis and Methuselah both have seen the craft. Yeah.
And I love those names.
Daughter. Yeah. Great names.
Yeah.
Do you think they're going to be the next generation? Like, do you feel this may continue with them? Or does it stop with Billy?
Possible. I think it's very possible. Yeah.
Interesting.
Kind of like a generational thing with you.
Yes. Well, they say that is how it happens, right? Because I know, with my children who are adults, I know that they've had, incredible experiences. Well, my youngest will tell you not so incredible, but that's okay. It happens, right? But yeah, it was a curiosity because, Billy seems to be a certain type of individual Like they were obviously, he was meant to get all of this information. Our children, just because they're a part of us, doesn't necessarily mean the energy is going to be the same, because they still got the volatile mom in there somewhere, you know.
And
Speaking,
they have to go through their own lessons. Yeah. So
yes, you know.
I'm sure that, the Pleiades knew how to mute her.
but that's why I say she serves such a purpose.
Yeah, she did.
really
She's
does.
chosen for a reason as well. Make it more difficult, so you push further ahead. Everybody's chosen for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I always say thank the haters.
Right.
That's who drives
Do
you.
that.
Yeah.
Because they're teachers too. I mean, no matter how irritated they can make you, and they can,
Right.
they are teaching you something, and it's really pulling yourself inside yourself to find that balance.
But why do you think people have such, because you've investigated other cases, why do you think they have such negative experiences?
I think a lot of times, first of all, I do not believe there are just good energies out there in the universe.
Right.
I think there are positive and negative.
Balance.
I think many of them do have negative experiences, but I also think the reactions they have to experiences are sort of posed by the fear they hold with what they're seeing. If it's somebody that doesn't look like us, we do that now. Walk down a dark alley and run into somebody you don't know, and you're going to be afraid.
Right.
So, kind of
it's human nature, conditioning.
It is. But then people that walk towards an object, look up at it and say, what is this? I think they're fighting that experience. And I don't think, especially after talking to them quite a while, they come away thinking, oh, this wasn't so bad after all. It wasn't anything to be viewed as negative. It was me approaching the thing saying, I'm here, let's have a conversation. And then getting into that.
I feel like that was directed at me, but we'll go on.
I know.
Okay.
Amelia's always in denial. No, it doesn't happen to me. Yes, it freaking does. If it happens to me, it happens to you. You know.
I have enough to deal with the dark side. Leave me alone.
Honestly.
Oh, my goodness.
I also think, let's face it, people look at mantis, for example, or they'll look at a reptilian or draconian, and they're going to kind of go, no. But yet, people have had incredible experiences with mantis.
Some of them, yes.
Whereas I see this a big bug, and I don't like them much on a good day. When they're this big, I can't imagine.
Been to Italy? They're about that size.
Big jobber up there.
Yeah.
I think I might be a little hesitant.
Maybe not. I think it would depend with you on the energy that the being was giving off.
Thank you. You hold me with a lot of credit there.
I do.
Maybe.
I do. I think people react more with the energy they feel.
I agree.
More than they do the visual that they perceive.
Right. Well, I might explain my love for dragons. Maybe I've had great draconian experience.
Yes.
I don't know. I don't like when they growl at me, but otherwise, maybe.
I bought her ornaments with dragons on them for her tree that I've been waiting for her to put up for like 4 years. And she's like, no, these are too pretty. They're going out to display. I'm like, they're further, put the tree up.
That's ridiculous. I really do go a little brain dead with dragons, but I just look at keepers of knowledge, and that's how,
they're beautiful creatures.
Looking at what they really represent. And I'd be okay with a big dragon.
I'd be okay with other dragons. I'd love to be her and fly around on.
I just don't know how I'd feel about a draconian standing in the bedroom. It's a little bit different.
Yeah, that would be a little.
That's intimidating.
So,
but they're quite large.
Just like this, they're quite large.
They're quite large. Oh, I was still stuck there. Yeah, I'm a little delayed.
Stuck with the ornament.
Confusing.
So, if people now, if somebody was to come to you, like, what's your advice if you have people who are seeing things? I mean, you have to watch who you go to. And a lot of people out there think some organizations maybe are not as reputable as others. Some people really do fear my lab. They fear the government, the military. They fear everything because there's so much out there.
Yeah.
What would your advice be to somebody who's having experiences?
Multiple experiences, keep a record of them. Write them down. If you don't have someone to share it with now, at some point you're going to find people to share it with that you'll be comfortable with. Right. The most important thing is being comfortable with whatever you're sharing. You've got to know the individuals that you're talking to and be okay with them. But keep records. Let yourself be reminded to keep records. You see a craft, if you can take a picture, great. If you can't, write down what you were feeling, write down what you were experiencing. Was there an electrical charge in the air? Was it something that just sort of heightened your own senses? Did the hair go up on the back of your neck? What happened? What did you feel?
What about smells?
Oh, those happen often.
Okay. Yeah. So what should people look for? Let's talk about what people should look for in maybe recognize an experience.
A lot of people that, and this comes from a lot of abduction cases too. People smell flowers.
Really? And I associate that with
stuff.
And I associate that with a past loved one.
Yeah.
But
they will come back, and even under hypnosis, many have recalled, I smell flowers. It's like I'm surrounded by bouquets. It's really strong. So that's one thing. There are energies that leave a stench.
Like sulfur, ozone, things like that.
Almost like demonic.
Almost.
Well, yeah.
It's and their energy isn't always bad. It's just kind of this weird residue they leave behind. So yeah.
It reminds me of which makes me question if they're using, portals, if they can just come through with a mere thought. Because we had Dan Shaw, who calls himself like the vortex doctor.
Right.
And he studies vortexes, stargates, earth energy ley lines. And when you said that they smell flowers, he says sometimes when a vortex opens up, you can smell flowers.
The Sedona Airport vortex. When you're in the center of it, that's what you get. Yeah.
See, right there.
You look everywhere for a flower shop, and meanwhile,
right? I know.
You're standing next to a bunch of planes. No, it shouldn't be what you're smelling. But you
wow.
Is it like an alarming scent, like when you come in and out of a funeral home, that pungent in your face kind of floral scent?
Well, at Sedona, it wasn't that way. It was very soft. It was like just somebody walked by with a great floral perfume or carrying a bouquet of flowers. It wasn't overpowering. Yeah.
That's Sedona just seems
we really need to go.
That place of wonderment. John Polk is on next week, and he's the Sedona guide, and he's the spokesperson for all of the big events that they do down there. And he's talked about different power spots and the indigenous people there. And years ago, when I was in Lilydale, they said, "Oh, you have one of your guides is a chief. She did a painting, and he's a chief from the Red Mountains." And I'm just going, I could dig that. I could get that.
We need to go. We always say, and we have.
No, but the draw.
I'm right up the hill.
Oh, is that right?
Oh, wow. We're going to come visit you because I could listen to you speak for hours. I'll cook for you.
Come on, Brit. We're going on a hike. Just keep talking. No. I think it's wonderful. So, I mean, if you're that close, you must see all kinds of stuff with UFOs.
We do. Yeah.
Okay.
The Phoenix Lights. The big deal with the Phoenix Lights.
Yes.
They flew right over northern Arizona into Phoenix. Yeah. And so they were seen by a lot of people out here. We've had several sightings like that. You can tell the ones that aren't satellites when they're doing this up been over and down and back.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, very different.
Yeah, shooting
Wow.
stars don't move that way either, do they?
No. Oh my
No, but I
goodness.
use shooting stars as a trigger for me.
Right.
Really?
If I'm having a thought and it's something really valuable or important that I need to be doing, I'll see a shooting star. And I love to sit outside and look at the stars. And so it's sort of like this little confirmation coming by going, okay, you got it. It's nice.
Right. I love that.
I love that.
Here's a question.
Oh, hi,
Ed.
Tip the hat. What happened to that? Tip the hat. He says, Brit, have you seen the 7-foot beings walking in the area?
No, I haven't.
What are the 7-foot beings?
But I'd like to know more about them, Ed.
Especially if they're in Brit's area. She most certainly wants to know about them.
What are the 7-foot beings? I've never
in some
heard
way.
of that.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay. So, some where they are skinny and I'm guessing lanky.
Lanky, yeah.
Yeah, with what seems to be a grayish brown skin. Tips hat. I'm sorry, bows. Thank you, Ed.
Thank you for the clarification. Yeah, no, I have not seen them.
See, I guess that's my next question. A lot of these cryptids that we see, extraterrestrial, terrestrial, dimensional.
How about all of the above?
Can I phone a friend?
Yeah, really. I think that some of them are dimensional.
Right.
And I think some are extraterrestrial, and I think some probably exist here, but maybe at a different frequency.
All about the frequency again.
I forgot.
Bubbles is having a night. So has. Okay, I'm going to go back again because, I meant to ask this before and completely eluded me. Has Billy met with any other different races of beings aside from those of the Pleiades?
The doll people that I was telling you about that he met with in India. He has met with other groups. He's meeting with one now called Pleiades that are from the Pleiades area but are different from Pleiadians.
Okay.
The Pleiadians originally come from Era, what we call Era, a planet that revolves around that sun.
Right.
And now he's talking to Pleiades as well. So yeah,
wow. That's that. Okay. So are they giving the same type of messages? Are they
a little stronger? I think I have not really followed those, but I think the message is a little bit stronger about being better people. Better individuals and better collective.
Yeah, I think we're coming down to the crunch there. So,
It is a crossroads, yeah.
Yes. Okay, that's interesting.
And then I got a question after Ed. Ed says there are a lot of reports in New Mexico, Arizona, and now they're starting in Florida. The townspeople in New Mexico say they see them walking in alleys. The citizens say, we are tired of seeing them, LOL. Wow. Tired. Gotta find a new word. Wow seems to be the word tonight.
Well, I can understand that they would get tired of it. Some of the people that we've worked with in Mexico kind of get tired of watching the UFOs every night too. After a while, it's sort of, you take it for granted. And you really can't.
Mexico is intense. The stars, the black night. Like, I feel at home in Mexico. I love Mexico.
I do too.
Yeah, I was saying to Michelle the other night, I said, when I stepped off the plane and onto the tarmac that first time, it was like I was home. It was just really strange. Yeah. I just felt like I was home. There has to be more to this, and I want to go back so badly. Have they ever spoken to Billy about what we see as a heaven or what that might be?
You mean the whole concept of heaven and hell?
Well, not hell so much as heaven. When I have visions, I'm always in this light, and I do smell flowers when it's something positive.
But she's also an NDE experiencer. Yeah, okay. Several, actually.
What? Oh, I was going to say, what? So Indy? I didn't go to the Indy 500.
The in-between realm.
Right.
And Yeah. So that definitely, I mean, it's like we were talking earlier about death. That's something they experience too. Between their incarnations, they go through a cleansing educational learning process as well, just like we do. And they have fabulous experiences from there as they progress up that spiral, the 7 spirals. So that's a big deal. But yeah.
So we're like on the bottom.
No, I don't think so. Give us a little more credit.
Okay, I hope so, because like I'm quite empathic. So I'm like, wait a minute.
Well, that's the issue. When you are so empathic, you're bombarded with the negative. It's a stronger vibration. It's heavier.
It's a lot of grounding. It's a lot of grounding, instant grounding that Michelle has taught me that I can do in like less than 30 seconds.
Right.
Especially when I'm anywhere where I'm surrounded by people.
Yeah.
I hate crowds.
I'm kind of a hermit, so I get it.
Yeah, me too. I can stay home forever or sit in the backyard. I can't handle when there's a lot of people around. It takes a lot of shielding and it takes a lot of grounding for me. And some people drain me so badly I could be out for 2 days easy.
Yeah, you've got to keep those walls up, because a lower vibration, a lower frequency is denser and it does draw. It pulls from you. A higher vibration contributes. And you'll feel the difference. It's tremendous.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I understand it more when my friends would say to me, well, we really missed you at that gathering or whatever. And I get it. Yeah, because you sucked me dry, all of you.
Terrible.
But I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I love them. I've had them around forever. But yeah, I always tease them. I always tease them.
You're going to learn to get those walls up. Yeah.
I know. I'm the comic relief person here. So I'm like that with my friends as well. I try to lighten everything up for them because it's just too much. The drama is just too much at times, especially Italian women.
People.
Pardon?
It's hard on people.
Yeah.
Today's world is difficult for people. It really
is. It is. And I think it's why it's so important to work on our evolution. That's something I always talk about. Be a participant in your own life.
Yes.
It is so important. Live, love, laugh. Just keep the vibrations going higher and higher, and knowledge. It's so important because we're being suppressed. We've been suppressed for so long, and there's just so much to learn. And we're watching the world pass us by. People are content, wearing these goggles. I put a virtual reality, and I'm like, no, you're taking a walk in the forest in your head. Just go take a walk in the forest. I don't understand what you're doing.
Find a tree and hug it. Yeah.
Yes.
I don't understand who buys them. I don't understand them. I would like to understand more, but I understand why they're being made. And that's another story.
But I mean,
that's another show.
So is this.
Sorry.
We've been here for a long time.
Yeah, that's another show. Because I don't understand why you would buy goggles to make it seem like you're in a forest when you could just walk to one. Well, it doesn't. What's next? You're going to be eating through them. Like, what is next?
That's the isolationism I was talking about earlier. That isn't healthy for us. No. We need each other. We need that exchange of energy. And when you just shut down everything and get glued into the goggles or the phone or the computer, and I have been guilty of it, everybody is. You're missing life. And we're here to live it and experience it, and in the process improve ourselves.
Exactly.
That's funny.
Exactly. And evolve. I think people don't realize how important it is to meditate, how important it is to connect to source. Whatever you think source is, you need to connect to it.
That's right.
But not on a level that is going to hinder what your experiences could be. People don't realize you're putting up walls. Man-made institutions have walls. That's I'll just leave it there. And it's a wondrous place out there. I love to use the word magical because nature in itself, this planet is magical. We are magical. We are these energy beings having a human experience. And that's what it is. It is a freaking human experience, guys. There's so much more that we are capable of, but we have just been conditioned to think that we're not capable of it.
Very true. Very
Right?
well said.
Thank you. Thank you. But I think that these incredible beings come down and try to gently remind us of the how incredible that we are. We can project energy like there's nobody's business.
Right.
Very
true.
Telekinesis, psychokinesis. You could do incredible things, but it's easier for people to think that it's something supernatural, that it's not you.
Oh, we come across that constantly.
Yeah, trying to tell somebody gently that you're projecting energy and you don't really have anything in the house. And I send a link to psychokinesis. That's the easiest way I could think.
They don't believe it. It's always, I think it's just the conditioning of the paranormal shows. It's always demon. I'm like, there is nothing there. It's you. We need to ground you. We need to help you through this,
I know. Be comfortable with your own energy.
Right. Yeah. I agree.
I really believe that the reason why we have so much anger and depression in the world today is because of all of this technology, as we discussed earlier. And it's a matter of, I hate using the words wake up, but it is like we're asleep and life's passing you by.
It's very true.
It's just, it goes by so fast.
Yeah. And just think what we're missing by doing all of this stuff. Yeah.
Everything. So what's next for Brent?
Gosh, I don't know. I'm going to write another book or 2 or 3 or 4.
Good.
You're going to come back on and talk about them, right?
No, she's going to meet us in Sedona.
Okay, we can talk about them there too.
We're meeting her in Sedona. We like you. We're keeping you.
Oh, okay, thank you. I appreciate that.
We didn't even do a station ID. Okay, that's how much we love you.
Station's one thing. Sponsor. Sorry, Folgers.
We love you.
I've got a couple projects on the back burner that I've been playing with, and at some point I'll probably write from the perspective of my husband and I what we experienced going in, from a very personal side. It's hard to be the investigator, have that hat on, and then switch over and tell a personal story. But I think it's time the personal story get told. So I'll probably be working on that before long.
That's very generous.
I think that would be really amazing.
It's weird. It's fun. It's life, and that's what life is.
Yeah, you're right. No, I think it would be excellent, because when you say, like when I asked you, did it change you? How did it change you? What you can't work and be around something like that and not bring it back with you in one form or another.
Yeah, it's constantly there, and the little subtleties of it. Like frequencies, raise those frequencies, keep your energy high,
conditioning,
your attitude high. Yeah, it's constantly there. Whether you recognize it or not, it's there.
Right.
What I find is a good example for people who don't understand conditioning is telling them to look at prison inmates. They are conditioned. A certain movement, they said, they don't move until they're told to. That's conditioning. And you do that to yourself. You can do it for the good. And Michelle constantly talks about just getting the vibrations, like the frequencies on YouTube, and playing them in the background.
Binaural beats. And anything that helps you along, just gives you a little nudge, But all you have to do is look at the state of the planet, and you see a full example of conditioning.
Right.
I think we're there. We need to recondition.
In a positive manner.
Right.
Because conditioning can go both ways.
And laughter thrown in. Yeah. We're missing the smiles and the laughter. We need that.
I agree. And I am so glad that you came and spent the evening with us.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, you're very welcome.
It's been great. Thank you.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. We love it to be laid back. Sometimes we'll have guests that say, we have millions of people watching you. or listening more so because we're FM. So we have these international audio servers, and right away they stop talking when they come on. But I like to warn people, so just, some people come out and throw an F-bomb out or something.
Oh my gosh.
So, so we're just.
Airwaves don't like that. Yeah.
No, we have a problem with it because we get fined.
Really?
It comes out. Yes.
So,
it goes back to the host.
But people clamor right up. And I'm just like, we just want people to be comfortable. And you can see it's just a lot of fun. And it's really laid back. And we talk about, everything you want to talk about and end up in so many different directions.
Right.
But I just feel that, we want to know about you as well.
Yeah.
That's true. It's true. But we're going to put your book up again.
Oh, okay.
I'm going to go order it.
So,
by the way, anybody that orders the book, go to my website, britelders.com, and we have a contest going. We're giving away a $200 telescope and a $100 pair of night vision binoculars. So you have an opportunity to win either one. Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing.
Beautiful. I'm going to put this right up in. I mean, we've had your website going across the bottom. I just want to make sure everybody sees it.
It's on our Facebook page as well.
We're going to go, britelders.com, and it is in the show description. And you have the website, and you have it in your social media. I think we've got that in the show description as well. Okay. And there we go. So guys, UFO Contact from the Pleiades Volumes 1 and 2, 45th anniversary edition. With bonus information you're only going to find in this specific book.
And I'll let you know when the video comes out. When
the film, yes, absolutely.
Yes, please.
I love a good documentary.
Calling it a video, but
I know.
You can pick up that and it's streaming, yes.
Right.
That's okay. We'll have you on whenever you want to come on.
Exactly.
Oh, thank you.
Yes. And gosh, yes, anything you want to promote or talk about, you have an open door policy with us, and anytime.
Well, I feel like I'm sitting here talking to long lost friends, so I'm perfectly comfortable.
Oh my gosh, you made me melt.
Thank you. I know. I know.
I'm starstruck, but that's okay.
Oh, geez. I'm just normal.
No, there's nothing normal about you. You are spectacular.
No, you really are a pioneer in a lot of this. And there's so many organizations out there now. I mean, MUFON, obviously, but there's a lot of other organizations out there as well that come in off the heels of wanting to do even deeper research. Mm-hmm. And like I said, you can't spend 7 years on something and say you didn't get in deep.
Yeah. No, you're up to your elbows at that point and getting
right. No turning back, right?
It must have been difficult to decide what goes in and what doesn't, because there's so much great.
Not really. I mean, it was like, take photographs for the book you're talking about.
Yes.
Take photographs that really come out pretty good so people can see the distinction, the light, the shape, the whole thing. And get into what we did with photographs, with the movie footage, strip of movie footage in the book. So you can see the craft at the top of one frame and at the bottom, just above the horizon on another. Metal samples, we have some of the images that were taken of the metal under the scanning electron microscope. The only thing we couldn't touch was the audio. We couldn't play it for you, but we explained it for you. So, we wanted to put in as much as we could. There's more in the documentary, of course.
I love what you did with the negatives. You can't fudge a negative.
That's right.
and that's what makes it.
I love that little strip of film, yes. And you see exactly what happens.
It's amazing how many young people. I've done tours, and I was at one location that asked me to come in, and one woman said, "Can I come in and show a photograph with a negative of something I captured at the location?" I said, "Absolutely." And she showed the negative with this ghostly apparition, and the kids were like, "What is that?" I was like, "What?" Parents, you tell your kids what a negative is.
Yes,
oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Everything's digital now, so they don't know.
They don't know. And that's I guess when we go back full circle as to why it's so important now that I think it really is the age where if they're interested in technology, but you need to go back to the roots a little bit. Right.
You have to know where things began, and you got to go back further and further. It takes you a long ways back sometimes, but it's important to know. It's you've got to know that computers went around in 75.
Right.
You know? And what
yes, I remember
they were.
the beauty of microfiche. Oh my gosh.
And those big monster discs, you know, and
I think I probably still have those in a drawer somewhere.
Nothing I hated more than that
the floppy disk.
No, when you went into the library and you had to find where the book was, that
on
little
the card.
Oh my gosh. I go, yeah, that was our Google.
Yes, it was.
I hated going to that monstrous thing, and now they're in home design. They're a big thing right now. I'm like, yeah, I would never.
They're highly sought after.
Yeah, no, thank you. It gives me nightmares about all the projects I had to do in school. That's a thing. If I reincarnate, I'd like to skip high school.
Oh, I don't think it works that way.
Oh, I'm not coming back.
Oh, okay.
I was bored the last
Bubbles.
time.
We'll go with that. So.
I was bored last time. I don't want to do it again.
Well, we're at the top of the hour. We're here already. I can't even believe it went so quickly. But thank you so much for joining us. I would love to do this again.
My pleasure, guys. It's been great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Like, seriously, thank you.
And I'll get you some links and such, and make sure you have all of that as well.
Okay. And I've already got it up on my social media. We're doing it tonight.
Thank you.
See you in Sedona.
Thank you.
In Sedona, yes.
We'll see you in Sedona.
And we'll make sure you have an audio link as well, just for for those. Sometimes people prefer the audio link, so I'll make sure you have that as well. And yes, thank you. So everybody, thank you all for tuning in. Thanks to everybody in the chat room. We appreciate you all so very much. Roku. Go back to Roku TV, and the archive should be up there hopefully over the weekend. So big thank you to Brit Elders for joining us. Such a pleasure sharing the evening with you. Big thank you to Folgers Coffee for sponsoring us this evening, every evening that we're on. We appreciate you so very much. Big thank you to Justin Snicker. Big thank you to Steve McGinnis. We appreciate you all so dearly. Wednesday, we welcome back John Polk. He's going to be talking about his paranormal stories and hauntings of Sedona. So we love him. He's always shows up with great pictures and great conversation. Thursday night, we welcome back Constance Victoria Briggs, who brought us the Moon's Galactic History, a look at the moon's extraterrestrial past and its connection to Earth, while she's continuing her exploration into the cosmic connections with her companion book, Earth's Galactic History and its Extraterrestrial Connection. So always a good time, always have great guests, and we're so, so grateful for all of you. So guys, have a fantastic weekend. Behave yourself, stay safe, and we'll see you next week. Good night.
Good night.